musculardevelopment.com, guys. We are back again at Crunch Fitness in Appleton, Wisconsin for another episode of MD Training 101. If this is your first time tuning in, this is a very basic training series focused on the fundamentals of weightlifting to help you guys get started off on the right foot. Today's workout, we're going to be focusing on triceps. Not going to waste any time. Let's get started. All right, guys, we're going to start today's workout off with the tricep press down. As with everything else, a very basic exercise. I'm in one of the cable crossover stations here at Crunch Fitness, an ideal setup for this particular exercise. Some gyms have a designated tricep press down machine. If that's not available, a lat pull down machine works great for this exercise as well. I'm starting off with a short straight bar. There's a handful of different bar variations we can use for the tricep press downs, a triangle bar, a cambered bar. Again, all sorts of different options. It just comes down to a matter of personal preference. Now, for this particular exercise, it's pretty nuts and bolts here, guys. We're going to get the bar here, bring the weight down. We're going to be standing pretty much upright, but you don't have to be perfectly straight up and down. Feet shoulder width apart so you get a good base. And we're just going to be pressing the weight down. Arms are going to stay at your side, just pivoting at the elbows, a press down just like that. It's about as simple as it gets. Now, this is an exercise that we don't see a whole lot of people doing things wrong as we do with some of the free weight exercises, but there are still some mistakes. As with a lot of exercise momentum, you'll see kind of people doing one of these, which is uncommon, but we do see it. Probably the most common mistake in the tricep press down is people getting over the bar and pushing the weight down. And what I mean by that is guys will get the weight down here, they're using too much weight, and they're kind of doing one of these numbers. That's not what we want to do, guys. Again, pretty close to straight up and down, feet shoulder width apart. You're going to keep your elbows locked at your side so you're letting the triceps do all the work, and we're just pushing the bar up and down. Guys, next is going to be the skull crushers. Now again, this is a very basic exercise. Generally speaking, this is done with your shorter bars. Not going to be done with a traditional style Olympic bar like you would do a bench press with. Crunch Fitness here in Appleton, as a lot of gyms, has pre-selectorized bars. I'm going to use a cambered bar here today. Generally speaking, it's a little bit easier on my wrist, but you can use a straight bar if you prefer that. Again, guys, pretty simple exercise. I'm going to lay back. I'm going to get in a good, comfortable position. I'm just going to be bringing my arms back down like this with the weight and back up. Again, pretty simple. I'm going to be bringing the weight down just above my eyebrow, right across the forehead, hence the term skull crushers. Guys, if you're not that pretty to start off with like me, you're going to want to be careful on this one. Make sure you choose a weight that you can handle because you don't want to be dropping a weight on your face. Now, it helps for this particular exercise to have a training partner hand you the weight once you've already laid down on the bench. I train alone a lot, so for me in this particular exercise, I'm going to pick the weight up off the floor, essentially do a reverse curl to get it into position, and then lay it back. As far as mistakes on this particular exercise, guys, it's just a pretty hard exercise to screw up. Again, the biggest mistake I would say is one, hitting your forehead with a bar. Once you do that once or twice, you'll learn real quick to use weights that you can get a good control over. The other main mistake I would say is when guys are back and they let their elbows kick out and they're kind of doing it like this. So again, you're going to want your elbows in tight here, a real smooth motion, bringing the bar again just above your eyebrows to your forehead. Do a reverse curl with the weight, lean back, get into position, press the weight up, and start. All right, guys, next up is going to be our tricep kickback. I'm going to be using a dumbbell for this particular variation, and it can also be done on several machines, including a cable crossover machine, either with a high variation or hooking it up to the bottom and doing a low variation. Again, for today's purposes, we're going old school using dumbbells here. Now, if I had to pick one tricep exercise that people do wrong the most, the tricep kickback is going to be it. Sometimes people are using too much weight like other exercises, but a lot of times we see people just simply doing it wrong. Now, I'm going to show you guys how to do this before I pick up the actual weight, just so you can see arm positioning and the motion that you want to use for this particular exercise. Now, what I want to do is I want to get my arm up and kick back so that my upper arm is parallel with the ground. My forearm is perpendicular with the ground, and I'm making a nice 90-degree angle. I'm gonna be holding the weight here and kicking it back just like this, letting the tricep do all the work. Now again, you can see my forearm is starting in a straight up and down position with my upper arm parallel with the floor, kicking back like this. Now guys, I can't even tell you how many times I've been to a gym and I've seen people doing tricep kickbacks like this, where they have the weight starting here and they're going back to here, starting here and back to here. First off, from here to here is a bicep curl, and from here to here, the dumbbell is essentially gonna do that by itself. So again, when you see people doing tricep kickbacks like this, that's a half a hammer curl and an essentially useless tricep kickback, guys. You don't want to be doing that. Again, in order to make this exercise work and to make it functionally correct, you got to get that elbow kick back. You're going to have your arm back up again. Now this exercise is a lot harder than it looks if you're doing it with good form and doing it right. But again, I'm going to get my elbow back, my forearm is straight up and down from the floor, and I'm just going to kick the weight back. Guys, and our final exercise in our tricep workout today is going to be the row press down. Now the fundamentals of this exercise are going to be very similar, pretty much the exact same for that matter, to the straight bar press down, except at the bottom we're turning out a little bit with the rope, working that outer head of the tricep, a little bit different than we were with the straight bar press down. Now again, the basics of this exercise, very similar. We're going to be keeping our arms at our side, pushing straight down just like this. Our elbows aren't going to be kicking forward and pulling back, and we're not going to be getting on top of the weight. Again, as with everything, we're going to pick a weight that we can handle properly and with good form and get to it. So again, hands positioned at the bottom of the rope. Not going to be standing perfectly upright, but pretty close. I'm going to get my arms down in a good position. Just move the weight straight up and down with my arms tight to my side. All right, guys, and that is going to do it for another episode of MD Training 101. We'll do a little bit of a recap for today's tricep workout. Started off with the bar press down, went over to skull crushers, dumbbell tricep kickbacks, and the row press downs. Now guys, as with our other workouts, generally speaking, I recommend 4 sets per exercise. With the 4 exercises we did today, that would give you a total of 16 working sets. Now if you're training with a partner, it's a good idea to get 4 reps at the end of each set. If you're training by yourself, drop sets are a great idea to make sure you're really fatiguing the muscle and hitting failure. Guys, with everything we do here at MD 101, make sure your focus and your workouts is doing stuff right, training with good form, training heavy. Make sure you check your ego at the door. That's going to produce the best results. Guys, that's going to do it for us. Make sure you check back next week for a new episode of MD Training 101. But for today, we're out.